Good morning, everybody. Good. I'm Scott McCaffrey from the Sun Gazette, and I get the opportunity again to introduce our speaker for today. If the mic is working, is the mic okay? All right, great. It was a very rainy, very chilly, and very windy February day 11 years ago during the very first State of the County event. I know a few people in this room were probably there. Jay Fazette was the speaker, and it was held at the Washington Golf and Country Club. It was held in February of 2001. Jay laid out his priorities, but not surprisingly, because of that year, those priorities changed several months after his speech rather significantly with the events of 9/11. And I think that's a very good way to introduce this program because it says two things about Arlington County and the Arlington County government. One is that the priorities of the community and the priorities of the county board can in fact change in a heartbeat, which is certainly what happened on 9/11. Secondly, that while we often think of the local government, whatever local government is, as the bottom rung on the government ladder, that in fact local government plays an integral role in the lives of the community. And I think everybody who was here in Arlington during 9/11 and the aftermath will acknowledge that the work of the county government was probably the best shining moment of the county government's history because it did very well. So this is actually a very important thing that we do when we invite Leadership Arlington and the Chamber invite the County Board Chairman to speak. This will be County Board Chairman Mary Hines' very first time. I am told that Kate Roche, who is here somewhere for the Chamber, is always extremely excited when it's a chairman's first time to come speak. To which I reply, Kate needs to get out more, but nonetheless, she's gonna get me for that one. I want to just, by way of introduction, I will be relatively brief. Mary Hines has been on the county board for 5 years, and you may know that she was on the school board for 12 years before that. So we're closing in on 2 decades of community service. It's interesting, and I will get her up here in a second, but I was very interested when she announced her plans for this year, how they would play out. It's about community involvement. I'll let her detail it before we go to the questions. But it's played out very interestingly, so I think she'll have a lot to say. And of course, with Arlington, it's never a dull moment. So please welcome me in greeting Mary Hines.
Well, good morning. Good morning. It was fun to watch you all walk in. I felt like so many familiar faces, people I've had the opportunity to work with for so many years. So it's really fabulous to be here and to have this opportunity. So now to why you came, I think, and what I have to tell you. So first of all, thanks to the Chamber for doing this. I didn't realize it was the 11th year, and I think it's a nice tradition. It's one I think we all look forward to. And I'm really happy to speak about the health of our community and about the work that we're doing and what I'm focusing some of my attention on this year. So for many years, we've all recognized that our community is a great place to live, raise a family, work, play, and as I like to say, heading into my second decade, grow older. In this room, we also know that Arlington has for many years been a wonderful place to do business. Can't beat our location. But I do like to tell people about the strength of our workforce, the overall health and dynamism of our local economy, and the programs that the county offers to support businesses, those who are just starting up, as well as those who are more established, whether they're thriving or facing some tough going. I'm proud of Arlington, and I'm glad to be able to tell you this morning that our county is strong. We have very, very much to be thankful for. Together, Arlington's citizens, businesses, and its government have worked to make our county vibrant, diverse, and successful. We're really fortunate in these times. And let me just give you a little temperature check on some of the things that we pay attention to about how we're doing. Arlington is safe. Even as the county continues to grow, our crime rate is significantly lower than most other places in the nation. Arlington has terrific, high-performing schools, even while we're serving a growing student body that is as diverse a group of students as you'll find almost anywhere in the country. Arlington is economically vibrant. We've weathered this recent recession rather well when you look across the country. Unemployment today is at 3.1%, which is pretty close to full employment. And we've added 11,000 jobs since 2008, experiencing only a single month of negative job growth in our county. Pretty amazing. Increasingly, major companies want to call our commercial hubs their home. Deloitte moved to Roslyn not long ago. Boeing will be locating its international and government business headquarters in Crystal City. DARPA and Accenture have amazing new homes in Ballston. And we were pleased to recently announce that the Center for Naval Analysis is returning to Clarendon. Each of these represents the kind of smart businesses that we believe are part of the core of our success. Arlington is a great place to invest. If cranes are any measure of economic health, then taking a quick look around confirms we are doing pretty darn well. There are many major projects underway from Roslyn to Ballston and from Clarendon to Crystal City. In addition, last year, the County Board approved 1.7 million square feet of new development. And when you look at the projects that are now under review, it's very clear that Arlington is still a place that businesses want to be. The common thread across all of these things is managing growth across many dimensions and many sectors. Now, and that's a challenge for every community. When you add more folks, when they come from different places, they don't quite know what it's all about, how do you integrate them? How do you pull them into the life of this community? And I'm going to circle back to that theme when I get to the end of my talk. I also don't want to leave this little, temperature check without briefly noting that county government continues to strive to be both responsible and responsive. And we have some great evidence recently. We have maintained our top AAA bond rating for I don't know how many years, but it's a true measure of are we managing our money well and making great investments. And in a recently completed survey, nearly 90% of Arlingtonians expressed overall satisfaction with the quality of county services. That is a third more people than the national average. So we are doing something right. The people who live here really like living here and think we use, the one that I love the most was, do you think your dollar is used well? Something like 72% of the people they asked said, yes, we do. And that is an unheard of number for communities to get. This good fortune is no accident. It's undeniable that Arlington's location is an uncommon endowment. The federal government and especially the Pentagon are particularly important to the health of our community, its businesses, and its families. And all of that comes together around the smart choices we've made over many years. There's probably no decision that better symbolizes the importance of smart, good government than the decision they made many years ago to locate Metro in our corridors, Roslyn, Ballston, and Crystal City, Pentagon, rather than in the center of major highways. Just look out at Tyson's, how hard it is to retrofit, right? This is an important and enduring legacy. The county is also a leader in thoughtful redevelopment, overseeing the transformation of our business quarters into more urban, vibrant places, all while seeking to maintain the healthy balance that was laid out in our comprehensive plan of dynamic urban corridors surrounded by classic neighborhoods, long-standing neighborhoods. One final point, and that is that everyone in our wonderful community benefits from our school system. In Arlington, we recognize this, and the county board has made and will continue to make the necessary significant investments in our schools to keep them strong and to have schools be part of how we market and sell this amazing community. So, if you look back, we've done pretty well. If the past is prologue, we can simply be thankful for our location and the great businesses that are already here and the smart people who live here, and just continue our good policies and practices that got us to this point. Unfortunately, assuming the future will be like the past doesn't prepare us to address all of the challenges that we're going to face in the next few years, whether we know about them now or whether they pop out at us. We need to take stock, anticipate the continuing and new challenges that will confront us, and make them opportunities rather than the threats they could become if we didn't attend to them. I think that's one of the hallmarks of Arlington, looking ahead, planning, thinking out the possibilities, and having an approach. So I want to focus for the next few minutes on 3 of the big challenges I see for Arlington. All of these are things over which we have less control. They're not of our making. They're part of what happens when you're a little guy, a 26 square mile place in the middle of a big dynamic region. So the first one is the changing role and nature of the federal government. The second is the increase in threats to our lives and our property from outside Arlington. And the third one is population growth and the implications that has for getting around. So, as I said a few minutes earlier, our location close to the center of government has been an extraordinary benefit to us for many years. We have depended on a growing federal government to create opportunities and to encourage companies to join us and to invest in our community. This formula has worked to date, but we all know it could change as Congress grapples with and comes to terms with the federal deficit. We know that federal spending could decline significantly. We know that our office building's largest tenant is the federal government, and Brack taught us that we need to be prepared for potentially fewer federal tenants and some vacant space. We know that when government moves to be more efficient, that often means doing it more with fewer people. All of this has the potential to affect Arlington. Scott referred to, other people have referred to the impact that September 11th had on our lives. I think it changed how lots of us think about living in this community. Following September 11th, we had the Base Closure and Realignment Commission that directed a lot of our defense-related agencies out of Arlington. Again, a major challenge. We took it seriously. We did what we usually do and formed a task force, and we developed plans to strengthen Crystal City. And I was pleased to be last night in Crystal City and celebrate 5.5 years with the bid and look at the transformation that's been going on. The plan that we adopted nearly a year ago moves Crystal City to a more balanced mixed-use community, allows additional density, and for the first time includes a plan to address the area's infrastructure, both its transportation infrastructure and other pieces. And we are seeing new investments there. We're about to wrap up, or the Planning Commission is, their review of the plans for a new building at 1900 Crystal Drive. If approved as presented, it has the potential to be the largest single building in Northern Virginia at more than 700,000 square feet. And at the north end of Crystal City, a vacant building is being renovated and upgraded, and we cannot forget the incredible investment that the county's making in Long Ridge Park to make that more and more of a complete community for the folks who live and work in Crystal City. I could go on about new development projects like this across our community that are changing our landscape. And a lot of you in this room already know about those, so I'm not going to spend my time doing that. But I do want to talk about some other recent developments that we have been undertaking to address the challenges that our business community faces. Many of you know of our BIZ team, Arlington's initiative to assist emerging and existing small business. Online, we also have our business center, a one-stop website where you can find information to meet most business needs. And we're about to introduce a new addition to the Business Center. I brought it with me. I had hoped for PowerPoint. I had hoped for Prezi, because it's boring to just look at me. This is what we got. This will soon be up in county offices. It's a map to starting a business that shows you the process from having the great idea to being able to open your space, and walks you through the various county offices and permits, and gives you some advice about when you need to check in. And really, we're trying to make it much easier for people who want to come and start something here to understand how they do it and to make the right connections with all the various offices that they have to interact with in order to do that. We've also made up a new brochure of frequently asked questions, and I left those out at the registration table. So if you're interested in taking one of those, please do on your way out. We think that these quick responses for new businesses will help them get along the way, as well as the great services that our biz team provides. We've also been responding to requests we've received to make our zoning, permitting, and approval process clearer and more easily negotiated. We have a new website called Build Arlington. And again, it's a one-stop shop for business owners, contractors, homeowners, and other developers that quickly explains all the requirements that you need in order, if you want to build something in Arlington, that you need to meet, how to get your permits, and how to kind of get into the system quickly. There's also a resource library of forms, checklists, and a range of information on most topics that would be of interest to someone who's trying to do this. The website's really easy, building.arlingtonva.us, and you can sign up to receive updates on zoning, codes, and other related issues. We're working hard to try to ensure that a variety of different businesses and a variety of commerce can continue to happen successfully here in our community, because we think that's what you need to do to be resilient when there's uncertainty. And if you have an idea of something that you think we ought to be doing, don't hesitate to let me know or let Terry Holzheimer know from AED or anybody on our fabulous Economic Development Commission. We're out there and we want this to work, and having a diverse commercial economy is part of how this community will continue to thrive. Now, I want to switch topics just a minute. Remember I said it was about threats from the outside. And I have been working since I came to the board on emergency preparedness. And I made this a priority when I came to the board 4.5 years ago. Working with my colleagues, I've spearheaded an effort to ensure that we are more prepared to respond to any kind of emergency that our community might encounter, whether it's those natural disasters like 54 inches of snow, or hurricanes, or ice storms, or the man-made kinds of things that we just can't predict. Having a community that's connected and understands how to respond is really important. And so we established an Emergency Preparedness Advisory Commission to advise us on policies, and they have been working on something that I want to alert you to. Now, no, there's no emergency this morning. I just want you to know that ahead of time that we're going to be holding a week-long countywide preparedness exercise beginning on September 23rd. And the business community is a big piece of being well prepared and resilient. 200,000 people come here every day to work. Something happens during the day. They need to know what to do, and you are a big part of helping us do those plans and achieve that. So we'll be reaching out to ask each of you for your help, so be on lookout for more information. And thank you in advance for all you've done and that all you will do to help us meet this challenge. Finally, let me talk to you a little bit about the challenges we face meeting people's needs to get around. Whether it's going to and from work or moving within the county or heading out to other places west of us, getting around on our roads is getting to be more and more of a challenge. And as Scott said, I'm in my second year on the Metro Board, and I have learned so much about how this all works and why it's important. And we are going to have to play an increasingly important role in Arlington. One of the things I've come to realize is that there simply isn't enough room on our roads, and actually that all roads lead to Arlington. That's what they knew 50 years ago, too. It's the Beltway's there, but then all those other bridges are in Arlington. And so having a variety of ways, from bike share to good pedestrian access to art buses to the VRE to Metro, and maybe to streetcars, is going to be part of how we stay vibrant for the future. And it's going to take money. I guess that's the last thing I will say. The Metro Board has been working on a new strategic plan, which will probably roll out this fall. And there is incredible unanimity among my colleagues and I about where we're headed and what role Metro should play. We can't deliver all the service, but we can be advocates for good service everywhere, because people who take transit and people who drive are in a symbiotic relationship. If the people who took transit decided not to take it, or if transit stopped, imagine what those people who ride it would do. They'd go home and they'd get in their cars and they get on the road with all the other people who are on the road, and then none of us would go anywhere. And so we have to understand, if we're people who like to drive, and I do drive my car quite a bit, I need the people to take transit. And the people who take transit, they need us to drive because we pay the taxes for gas. And all of this comes together to get us to a system that meets people's needs in lots and lots of different ways. And I think that we just have got to keep hammering that home. Whether you ride it or not, it's an essential part of our region and our local success, and it's got to keep working for us. I haven't talked about a lot of other challenges. I haven't mentioned affordable housing, one of the big things on the board's plate. I will say that we have asked the manager to initiate a study of this issue as a follow-up to the work we did when we adopted the budget. I like to say to people now, we're spending about 5% of the money you give us addressing affordable housing challenges of various sorts. That's a huge commitment this community has made to having a vibrancy that allows people of all walks of life to live in our community. That's really important to us. But we have big challenges ahead because of our location, because of other things, and we are going to need the smartest brains in our community to put their minds together around that. Barbara is planning to reach out to community members as she develops the scope of work that the board is going to review this fall. And from my point of view, housing and transportation go hand in hand when it comes to having a sustainable place. In the end, our resiliency as a community, our ability to meet these challenges that come at us from outside, is tied to our community values and our way of working together. In challenging times, Arlington has time and again taken advantage of our assets, our small size, our knowledgeable creative residences and businesses, our history of planning, and a long tradition of progressive leadership in all sectors of our community to devise solutions. We call it fondly, I think, the Arlington way. We're going to need it, I believe, in the next few years. So with support from my colleagues and from the manager, I launched PLACE this year. Now, PLACE stands for Participation, Leadership, and Civic Engagement. It seeks to reinvigorate and refresh the Arlington way, which is really a method to have civic conversations about big issues. And it identifies 3 critical behaviors that need to be supported to take advantage of the best that our community has to offer when it comes to solving tough problems. Participation. You need a broad base of people to understanding what you're doing and why. You need to create a great community. People need to be rooted, and they need to think it matters, that their voice matters, and that living here and that what they have to offer makes this a better place. So not only do you connect people to government, but you connect people to each other and to the neighborhoods and to the activities they care about. So participation is seeking to do that, and we'll be launching a web portal that will help organizations and individuals do that later this year. Leadership is really important. It takes leaders to frame problems and to lead processes. We have lots of leaders in this community. What we don't have is a common language about the work we're doing together, and we haven't focused well on sharing across sectors what works well and what doesn't when it comes to solving community problems. So beginning next month and moving into the fall, we're going to launch specific conversations, first within sectors and then across sectors, about how we can do our work better, refine our processes, smooth things out, so that when we need to talk about the tough stuff, we already have relationships, we have a common language, and we're ready for our task. And finally, civic engagement. You can have participation and you can have leaders. Civic engagement is what brings it together to take on the tough issues, to have the conversation that positions our community strategically, the conversations that set us up to turn those threats into the next great opportunity. As we've grown, these are harder and harder to have, these conversations. We're a lot bigger than we were in 1950. We've almost doubled in size. We have, as I said, 200,000 jobs. People come from 100 different countries. They speak, 75, 80 different languages. And we've got this technology stuff, which continues to change the landscape. So we're going to need to work at how we do this better. None of it's easy, but for us, in this room, in this community, it is doable. We're blessed to live in this community with all of its challenges. It is still one of the very best places to live in America. And each of you in this room is part of why that's so. Thanks for all you've done and all you're going to continue to do. While my job isn't always easy, it wouldn't be possible to achieve so much for so many without the hard work and the dedication of our residents and our businesses. So thank you again, and I'm looking forward to your questions.